Hi, this time what we're going to do is we are going to look at a blind SQL versus timing SQL challenge where we're just going to use the timing specifically technique with SQLMAP. So this particular one is under 2013 A1 injection SQL, blind SQL via timing, and then select login. Then what we're going to do is we're going to capture some login request. So make a username, password of password, which we know won't work. Capture that with burp. Turn the intercept on. Press login, and we get our intercept. So let's copy this out like we would normally. Copy that. Create file. Timing.txt. Use a text editor to open the file. Okay, now take away all of the spaces. So in Emacs you can use Control K. Can't remember exactly what it is for VI. Okay. And then remember to leave one space between the content length and the string with all the parameters. Okay, get to the end of that and then press enter afterwards so you have a spare line at the end. Control X, Control S, Control X, Control C, saves the file and exits. Right, so if we just cut out that timing file, it looks like what we want. Great. So, because we know this is specific to do with timing, then we are going to request that in our technique, opposed to just doing a standard SQLMAP command. We're going to make it more advanced and more specific to what we want, so we don't have to wait a lot longer and we pick out exactly what it is we're trying to do. So, go to where you've installed SQLMAP. If you're using Kali, then it'll be in your path. But as I'm not using Kali, I'm using Debian, and I like to install the packages myself. I'm not a big fan of Kali, which is quite unusual for someone to say that. I think it's better to install the packages yourself from source, and then you get an understanding of how they work, how the database works, if they use a database, and it gives you a better understanding of the tool. Also, it means every tool you install and use, you know how it uses, opposed to having something like Kali, which has got thousands of tools that people only use about 10% of, because they don't realise what all the other tools are that are on there, because they never had to install them. So that's just my opinion. You might agree or disagree with that, but that's just the way that I prefer to do it. So just going to grab the version of SQLMAP. Also, you can install the latest versions as well. That you can't always install the latest versions on Kali, so you get bleeding edge cloned-in versions as well. So SQLMAP -r to read out a file. Our file is called timing.txt, and let's tell it to try and enumerate the databases. So work out what the backend database management server is. If it's PostgreSQL, MySQL, Microsoft SQL, we don't know what it is at the moment, so we're not going to tell it anything. We're just going to say try and work it out for yourself. We're going to say use multi-threading up to 10 threads to make it faster. We're going to say the technique we want to use equals T for timing. If we didn't do that, it would use Boolean, error-based, union-based, and timing as well. So we don't want it to do that and not know what the database is, because we'll be here forever. Also probably be picked up by an IDS as well. So that is the threads, the technique we're going to use. We're also going to put the level as 1 and the risk as 1 as well, just so that it will do a bit more of extensive testing. Put in my password. Oh, what's wrong with that? Oh, sorry. Should be minus DBS. DBMS is when you're actually telling it what the database is. Right, I'm going to cancel that again. Because I've already done this, it's resuming one that I've already done. So what you can do is you can do minus flush session, I believe it is. Yeah. And what that will do is that it will now do it from scratch from the start. So that's now started. It's immediately said that it's testing the parameter username. It looks like the backend database is MySQL. Do you want to skip tester payloads? Personally, at this point, it seems obvious to say yes. What I like to do is cancel out of it and now change it on the command itself to the correct database, MySQL. Okay. And let's put the end of that. So as we noticed, it's the backend database management system is MySQL. I want to try and enumerate the databases with minus DBS. Okay. So even though we've set the level and risk, it still for some reason asks you if you want to change the level and risk to values 1. So I'm not sure why it does that. Must be a bug. So now it's doing just time-based enumeration as fast as it possibly can, whilst using tests for MySQL. So the username parameter has come back saying that the MySQL version is equal to or greater than 5.0.12, which means that there are certain types of injection that can be done, and a time-based blind select injectable is what the parameter is. So there are things that can be done. So it's just checking that. It's now come back and told us that the username is vulnerable. Don't want to keep testing the others. I might want to keep testing others if I was doing a full pen test, wanting to explore all of the different form fields and whether they were vulnerable or not. But for the sake of this, I'm not going to test anything else. Okay, so username is vulnerable. The injection points, SQL identified the following injection points with a total of 39 requests, and then we can see our time-based blind parameter that has been backed. Do you want SQL to try to optimize the values? Generally, if you're doing anything to do with time-based attacks, you want to do change the time difference. So this minus time minus sec is always a good idea. Generally doesn't work if you don't do that. Okay, so looks like it's found 5 databases, and now it's going to try and brute force them one by one and try and work out what they are. So as you can see, it's found that the first letter is I, first ASCII character, second one is N, third one is F. Just going to pause the video now, so you don't have to sit here and watch it enumerate one by one. Be back shortly. Okay, so it's now come back and it has enumerated the 5 databases. letter by letter by letter, and as you can see they're here, and then has saved the output to the file. So from here, let's select a database. So if you were doing a full pen test, you would go through every single one of these databases, enumerate everything. One way of doing that is simply by just putting the -a. That will enumerate absolutely every database, table, column, permissions, everything that it possibly can. So in our example, we don't want to dump loads of information to the screen. We want to get something useful and see some information that we can then use on our form back on our website. So let's now tell it to not enumerate database anymore with -DVS. We're going to say minus capital D, so notice only one minus now, not two minuses, -D and space opposed to an equal sign. So minus capital D for Delta, space, no WASP. Okay, so now what do we want to do? So we selected the database and we want to enumerate the tables, so minus tables. For main test, you want to include all the tests for MySQL extended. Yes, we do. And then the same as what happened with the databases, we're going to enumerate the tables one letter at a time. So this is probably going to take a bit of time as well. So for the sake of the video, I'll pause it again and see what comes back. Okay, well, hasn't quite got to that point yet. It's just asking us that the username parameter is actually vulnerable, as we would expect it to be, and do we want to test any others? So again, if we're doing a full pen test, absolutely we want to test others because we want to have full scope of what is vulnerable and what isn't. For this example of just trying to access one particular thing, we don't want to. Okay, it's then told us that the username parameter is vulnerable to time-based blind attacks. Blind meaning that you're not going to see any form of MySQL output that's going to tell you whether it passed or it failed. Let's pull back the banner information, which has told us the operating system, the version of Apache, and the database. Okay, it's asked us, do we want to optimize? Yes, we do. And then off it goes, doing its brute forcing part. So from now, I'm just going to pause the video and let this enumerate. You can see from the time, so that's the time now, 9:55 and 38 seconds of when this started. So you'll see when it's completed how long each particular section is taking. So it's found 3 tables, and that's going to enumerate those 3 tables and come back. So I'll just pause the video again and come back shortly. Okay, so as you can see, the database is enumerating. It's taken about 5 or so minutes to get to this point. I'm aware of how many tables there are, and this is going to take forever. So for the sake of the video, just for the sake of the video, I'm going to stop this and I'm going to change this technique to a union technique. Now, if you were doing this test, you wouldn't do this. You would just keep it and you just wait and wait for it to do it. But for speed purposes, I'm just going to change it to union because I know that it's vulnerable with union. So same again. Do I want to use the risk levels to 1? Yes, I do. Just see if we can enumerate this a bit faster. can't guarantee that this is going to work, because this particular challenge is all about time-based attacks. So I'm not sure if I'm actually going to make it any faster by doing this, but hopefully it will. Okay, once again I'll pause the video and come back when I've got something more. Okay, so this is me using a Boolean based SQL technique. It seems to be working a lot faster than doing the time-based one, as you would expect. So it's just interesting to see it. You can see it running, it's doing it one by one, but it's not necessarily doing them in the order of the characters, so it's interesting to see on the video. Okay, so we have now enumerated all of our tables. So sticking with the Boolean, just a bit faster, but as again you would do this with timed. So now let's select the table with minus capital T, accounts. And what do we want to do with accounts? We want to enumerate the columns. So minus columns. And with columns, you don't just put minus columns, you put minus columns, minus dump to dump out the columns. Yes, we do. Okay, so we've had a redirect. Do you want to follow it? Yes. Do you want to resend the original post data to a new location? Yes, we do want to do that. Do you want to merge it with feature requests? Yes. Okay, the post parameter username vulnerable. Do you want to keep testing others? No. If we were doing a real pen test, we would. Okay, so once again, it's told us, so Boolean based parameter. It's enumerated the information about the system by banner grabbing. Now it's going through, pulling out different columns. SID has value int 11, username, value of password, another one called text. I think text is the length. Another one called my signature. Another one is underscore admin, so that will be telling us if that particular username has admin privileges on the database or not. The first name, so probably going to have last name in there as well. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so seems like it's finding them all again for some reason. It's interesting. Not sure why it's doing that. Don't understand why after enumerating the columns it feels that it wants to enumerate them again. I've never seen that happen before. It's interesting. Okay, so we go ahead and cancel that because we don't need that anymore because we already know what our columns are. So let's remove the minus columns and let's say minus C, and then we're going to select our columns. We don't have to select them in this order, we select them in any order we like. Between each column that we select we put a comma. So let's say first name, surname, first name and last name, username, password is underscore admin, and now we do minus dump. So again, to make the risk level 1, the value of the level to be 1, yes we do. The redirect to follow it, yes. Do we want to resend the original post data to the new location? Yes. The header set value for the cookie is intersects with us. Do we want to merge it? Yes, let's merge those together. Do you want to look for other parameters? No, we don't. So now it's going to go the same thing again. Parameter username, Boolean based, blind, type of configuration can be vulnerable. Banner grabs, found out the information about the web server and the database and the operating system, and then pulls out the columns that we've requested. One called John, another one called Pentest, one called Monkey, John again with a lowercase j, Jeremy, and then that false will probably be the outcome to is underscore admin, I suspect. So let's just wait and see what that comes back with in a few minutes. So just to reiterate again, for this particular one you would normally be doing a time-based attack. If this enumeration you can do with a blind Boolean opposed to a blind time, then do Boolean just for time reasons because it will be faster. But if you're doing it for a pen test and you're saying every single length in detail that can be enumerated, all of the issues that could be found and the vulnerabilities that you've done, then obviously you'll need to go through the time-based one for that purpose. But if you're just trying to gain access to it, then speed is of the essence for being captured by intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems, event logging systems, anyone who might be doing some traffic analysis at the time. You want to get in and out as quickly as possible. Okay, so this is quite a lot of users, or a lot of accounts I should say. Bobby, Samurai, WTF, Simba, Bryce, still waiting for it to complete. So you can imagine if this was a real database, it might have thousands of different users. So this would take a long time to complete. So if you can find a way of doing it using a different technique that's faster than time-based, then go for it. So I'm just going to pause the video again, let this finish. Okay, so after that we can see that we have 23 entries. All of our columns have been enumerated in the order that we asked them to: first name, last name, username, password, and are they an admin or not. So we can see first name system, last name administrator, username admin, password admin, pass is an admin, same as this account, Adrian Crenshaw and Aaron Baker. So we can then test that out, admin and admin pass, for example. Let's just turn burp intercept off. Log in as admin pass, and we're now logged in as admin. So I hope that was helpful. Hope that showed you how to do a time-based attack, and as a free added bonus, we had some Boolean based technique in there as well. So always look at different techniques and way to do things. If you can enumerate things faster and your situation allows it, then absolutely go for it. Hope this video has helped. Give me any feedback regarding the audio. This is the first audio one that I've done, due to lots of people saying that they prefer to have audio than trance or classical or different styles of music. So tell me if this was better or more irritating, and I'll look forward to the feedback. Thanks very much.